Okay, so I'm here with Kristian Morgan. Really good to have you on screen with us. We know that you're in the middle of training, deep in the middle of training, ready to start your mega challenge. So first of all, I'm just going to give a little intro about yourself. So to date, you've had an amazing career and life adventures. You've run over 120 ultras and marathons, and you can say for almost half of those runs that you have placed in the top 10. You've actually lived in Ethiopia with elite runners and you've learnt many of their running secrets. You've podiumed at the North Face 100k in Thailand for 4 years in a row. You're the current world record holder on Britain's longest national trail, the Southwest Coast Path. And at present, you are the second fastest person in the world to have run the Appalachian Trail. In fact, this is actually going to be your fourth attempt, as we say, like a lucky four-leaf clover. This is the one, Kristian. But before we sort of dive into the Appalachian Trail, for people that don't actually know who you are, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Where did you grow up? How did you get into running? And at which point did you know that running was going to be your career path?
Well, thanks for the intro there, man. That's quite the introduction, man. One little someone actually broke that record of the Southwest Coast Battle Print. So not the current record holder. I believe last year when I was in America preparing to come out and go for the Appalachian Trail, someone sent me a message and then I found out that record had been broken. So record holder, yeah, former record holder.
I'm going to say, good excuse for you to come back to the UK.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it could be any more wet than this, so maybe it's a good idea. So you're asking where I grew up, where I was born. So I was actually born in England, in a town called Wolverhampton. In fact, just the other day, I was on the Appalachian Trail, and this guy came over to me. I was in this hut talking to the staff about maybe sleeping in the mountains one night, and he came over. He was like, "Oh, where are you from, man?" I was like, "Oh, Wolverhampton." He said, "So am I. I was born in Blue Cross Hospital." So I dude, so was I, all the way in America. So that was cool. So yeah, born in England, and then actually raised in Australia. So grew up as a boy in Australia, and found my love for the outdoors, just running around barefoot. Had some Aboriginal friends when I was a kid, just like being outside, playing with sticks and stuff. You know, it wasn't really the era of iPhones. So just being free outside and just having a good time. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, well, so that's how we know that you got into running. You're an outdoors guy through and through. So at which point did you know that you wanted running to be your career path?
So I guess I never really did. I still don't know if I do. I don't know. It just kind of took priority over everything else. In the year 2000, I used to do some amateur boxing. And I remember just thinking, I did a marathon. And after that first marathon, I thought, wow, like in marathons, you get a chance to beat yourself up on other people. And there's something pure about that, you know, no one else gets hurt, just you. So I think I liked that. And like from the year 2000, I pursued running as a career. Yeah.
Nice. And then this takes us to this moment in time where you are going to be smashing the Appalachian Trail. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about the Appalachian Trail? So, you know, how long is it? What are the changes in vertical gains and which way are you actually running it this time?
All right, yeah, great questions, man. In fact, I wish I could turn the camera and you could see it, but it's covered in clouds. The Appalachian Trail is over there to my left, and the mountain line is pretty beautiful, but yeah, covered by clouds. So the Appalachian Trail this year is 2,198 miles long. It changes each year due to diversions. One of the major diversions this year is a road crossing which used to go over an interstate from New York, and a lady got killed crossing that road. So they've now diverted all the way down to where there's a bridge over that interstate. So this year it sits at 2,198.
Yeah.
The vertical gain and loss is the way people describe it. It's like climbing Mount Everest from sea to summit and then back down 16 times. And put that into numbers, that's 464,465 465,000 meters. 500,000 feet. Sorry, feet, excuse me.
Yeah.
Feet.
Flipping,
500,000 feet population gain and loss. Break that down to a daily basis. That's kind of like going up and down, like Snowden, like 12 times a day on the records, up and down 12 times a day. And then you've got the 50-mile distance. Goes through, I think is it 14 or 16 states?
16.
American state.
14,
Yeah,
sorry. 14 states, yes, you were correct.
Yeah, 14 states. Man, it's full of moose, bears, like beavers, possums. And yeah, so it's an exciting place.
And which way are you running it this time then?
Yeah, so I've had 3 northbound attempts, and this is my first southbound attempt. So I'm going to head south, going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, and you were due to have started by now. So has it just been the weather sort of holding you back? I hear it's a little bit flooded on some parts of the path.
Oh man, a little bit flooded. Like seriously, like roads are being washed away. They said this is the worst flooding they've had since Katrina and the storms in 1980 something. Like like they're on high alerts down in Massachusetts. Vermont especially is getting it. We're talking about like people are evacuating their homes.
Whoa.
So yeah, it's not anymore of just having a wet trail and I'm going to get some wet feet. It's like now the river crossings, which I'm meant to cross on the Appalachian Trail, are impassable. So I have to sit tight. And what this is teaching me is that you don't fight nature. You don't try to go against nature. You just sit and you wait. You be patient. You work with nature. So we just have to be patient.
And what's your training looking at like at the moment then? Because obviously you've got to stay in shape, but you don't want to exert yourself too much. You mentioned roughly you're going to be doing about 50 miles per day on the trail itself. How many miles are you running for training at the moment, keeping yourself sort of fit and ready?
So I've been living in Thailand this year, and I get up to about 80 miles a week with about 20 to 30,000 feet of vertical, which I really thought that was a nice amount of volume for me, And then I twisted my ankle. It's so annoying. What happened was I was running down this hill, this river in front of me, and usually I rock hop, land on the rock in the middle of the river. It's just big enough to jump across, and then move forward with my other leg, and I clear the river in one go. It's probably 10 foot wide or something. And as I was running down, I saw this motorbike coming from the other side because it's comes to the bottom of this river. Yeah. And as I looked up at the motorbike and took my attention off the trail in front of me, my left foot went down on a small rock before I hit the river, and I just went over on my ankle. And you seen that Colin McGregor fight where he totally taps his ankle?
Yeah.
So I don't.
No, it can't have been that bad, Kristian.
No, it was nowhere near that, right? Because I went and had a scan, and they're like, your bone's not broken, but you've totally torn your tendon. Wow. And I don't know how the bone didn't snap, because I saw Colin step backwards, and there wasn't even that much it wasn't like he was coming down from a stride of running where there's a lot of impact, kind of stepping back to the side. So yeah, I've got some seriously strong bones to be able to take that and not break. So yeah, that put me out for a month actually. And then I came back, got up to my 90 miles a week with the 30,000 feet of vert. And I kept hold of that until a couple of weeks ago. And then I started to taper it down. And in that taper, I brought it down to 40, 50 miles. Yeah. I think 15,000 feet, so half of the volume. But yeah, right now, I'm going to have to reconsider bringing that volume back up because you can't just keep on tapering. Eventually you're just going to be, all right, now I need to start training again because the weather and stuff. So
you mentioned that you were obviously tapering down your training and that you had the ankle injury. In terms of sort of trying to do training around sort of for example, an injury, have you been doing any sort of cross training? Have you been doing some swimming? Have you been doing some weight training to bring back, for example, especially the injured tendon? For example, static holds, I know are meant to be quite good for tendons.
Yeah, I mean, totally. So I was in Thailand, so I was swimming in the ocean,
Nice.
And that was really cool. It wasn't like the kind of swimming that probably a trained swimmer would do. I was just kind of chilling, studying the octopus and stuff like that.
Oh, a leisure swim.
Yeah, but still, you're out there, you move your body, you kind of like the muscles relax, the seawater's good, the pressure when you're in water apparently acts a little bit like compression for the body, just the pressure around you in the water. And then the other thing is I found this really old school kind of gym with, all iron weights and stuff. Yeah. And there's guys in there. It looked like you'd gone straight back to the 80s, I mean, it was so cool. Like, I think people were still wearing white socks with stripes on and rookie boots, Yeah. So I was in there, I was like pumping some iron, doing good old squats, bench presses, like single leg exercises, like core and stuff. Yeah, doing that. That was like an semi-outside kind of gym in Thailand. Loved that. Yoga, like I do yoga, or if I don't do yoga, I do mobility, which is almost borrowing moves from yoga. Yeah. I guess that would be everything. I can't think of anything else that I did besides the running. Yeah, and static cycling as well. There's sometimes if I didn't want to go and pound the trails, I would jump on a static cycle and sometimes do intervals or just do a straight out zone 2, steady kind of like cycle.
Yeah. That's interesting you mentioned about the intervals. Do you ever do any sort of high intensity training, interval training for the running? Because I know obviously you're all about the long distance. Can sort of short bursts of sprints and rests, can that aid?
I mean, the science says, like as a coach, because obviously I coach runners, that what you want to do is furthest out from your event, you want to do non-specific training. So, for example, 400-meter repeats on a track is not specific to the Appalachian Trail. So I do those as far out away, like in the early stages of training. Yeah, I was doing 400-meter repeats, hill sprints, even on the bike, hardcore 1 minute on, 1 minute off. And then as I get close to this race, the race, it's not a race, as I get close to the FKT attempt, I kind of drop that stuff away and I'm just in the mountains, in the mountains, practicing, like setting up my tent, more kind of specific stuff that is, related to the AT. So yeah, do that high intensity stuff as well.
Cool.
Still do that. Yeah.
You mentioned there obviously about the setting up of the tent. So this is going to be what do you call it? An assisted run. So you will have a team with you. Do you want to talk us through sort of how do the team support you? What sort of equipment are they carrying? Do they're set up for when you arrive, or do you have to arrive? Are you setting up your own tent, like you mentioned? How does that all work? Talk us through it.
Have you seen those like old African expeditions where like there's like this kind of chair and each one holds one of the corners and someone sits on a chair in the middle and they just carry them across the plains? So I'm going to sit on a chair and eat grapes. And these dudes are just going to carry me 2,000 miles back. And I've got this little whip and I hit them on the back of the neck. What they do is you got to have some comedy, right? They meet me at road crossing. So the AT is like mostly up in the mountains. Then it comes down to a road crossing. You cross the road and then you go back up into the mountains and you carry on. And these road crossings vary from, say, you've got the 100-mile wilderness, which has, it's like 100 miles with no official road crossings. And then you've got kind of like 30-mile stretches where like there's a road crossing, you've got 30 miles in the mountains down in the Great Smoky National Park. And then you've got like 10K or 6-mile road crossings. So depending on what section of the trail I'm on, my crew, who are formed of my mother, who is called, everyone has trail names. My mother's name is Gun Section. And then I've got David, who's called Iceman. So Iceman and Gun Section. And then I've got this new guy called PJ. He doesn't seem to have a trail name yet. He's an ex-meteorologist. And everyone is like either in their 70s or almost in their 70s. So these golden age crew with 3 vehicles each, 2 4-wheel drives, will meet me at these road crossings. Some of these road crossings are on forest service roads where only a 4x4 can go. So they're coming in away from all the big roads. And I may come down, I would have been carrying, say 3,000 calories on me. I've eaten that over 30 miles, come down, I resupply my food. So I'll have a running pack. I'll stick, some fried chicken in my pack, a Snickers, maybe some healthy food as well, like some blueberries, and you got to eat junk food out there. I'll probably refill my drink bottles because I'm supplying my water in the streams across the way as I'm through the mountains. I would filter and I get the water from the flowing streams, but they'll give me some electrolytes for the waters. And maybe water initially when I see them. Sometimes I might not see water for 7 miles or a couple of hours. And then I'll carry back on into the mountains. That's it. So that's in the middle of the day. And then in the morning, I'll have like an oatmeal and I'll drink that and go. And then in the evenings, it's blended up to drink it. So it's a bit quicker to have than eating it. Yeah. And then in the evenings, I'll like a roof tent up top of the Toyota Tacoma, which Iceman drives. And I'll sleep in the roof tent. That'll all be set up. I'll come in. I'll take off probably soaking wet shoes, dirty clothes. I'll wash my feet, gotta keep the feet clean.
Yeah.
File down any little bits of not blisters, but hard skin calluses. Eat my 1,000-calorie meal, take a protein shake, jump in bed, and then in bed, I've got my button tender sits in the roof tent. So I've got my button tender in there. I've got my power banks. I plug my watches in. It's like a little routine I have. So get in there, take my button tender as the last thing I do. Usually let it sit under my tongue. This is not an advert, by the way. This is actually my routine.
Yeah.
And then just kind of lights out, sit there and shut my eyes. And sometimes it takes, before I exhale, I'm asleep. And then I wake up in the morning. Sometimes my sleep is that dark and black. I wake up and that's it. It's time to go again. So that's the day on the Appalachian Trail. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. So I just wouldn't mind diving a bit more back into the diet. So you said you had the oatmeal in the morning. Obviously, that's sort of carbohydrates. Where do we stand then for your carbohydrates, your protein, and your fats? What's the sort of ratios you're looking at? Because one would assume that fats are more calorie dense, therefore could sort of take you a bit further. Are you sort of running this predominantly on carbohydrates then?
No, I'd say it's a good combination. I'm aiming to get in like 150. I mean, I'm eating protein all day. I've got these Epic bars. Yeah. I'm more of a kind of a fat-based athlete, I think.
Okay.
I'm pretty good. I can go out. I can go out on a 6-hour, 10-hour run in the mountains, I guess, and not eat any food. Because I'm quite fat adapted. So if I do come into trouble where sometimes I don't see my crew, it happens. And like you get to the road crossing, there's no one there, you kind of shrug your shoulders, got no food, carry on going, so that you have to be fat adapted in these situations. But I also don't want to sign off carbs. I think they all play a good part, and I enjoy the oatmeal as well. So the oatmeal isn't just oatmeal. Actually, more specifically, I add this thing in there called Purishon. It's mainly pumpkin seeds, flax seeds. I use a vegan one. It's got vegan pea protein powder. Yeah. So in that breakfast, I'm probably having around 20 grams of protein. I know it's better to have 30 grams of protein 3 or 4 times a day, but that's one of 10 meals throughout the day. Yeah. I mean, so I don't need to have huge amounts of protein with one meal because I'm drip feeding myself protein all day. Those Epic bars have got 10 grams of protein. Then I'll have the oatmeal in the morning. I'll come in, see the crew after a couple of hours, 4 hours, something. And they may have something from McDonald's, like an egg McMuffin or Sunset Group have made She called it the McMullen because her surname is Mullen, and she would just make her own egg McMuffin, so McMullen. Iceman will, like, I don't know, do me some kind of, I don't know, he does some pretty nasty food, man. Like some something, you know. You really just gotta be an omnivore and eat everything. Scott Jurek is a vegan, fully fledged vegan. He's in a documentary called Game Changers with Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of the best, best, you know, pound for pound ultra runners in the world, you know, and he does that on a vegan diet, and that's cool. You know, you watch him, so it can be done on a vegan diet. He also was once the record holder here on the Appalachian Trail. Was like 45 days or something, I forget. But yeah, like he got really skinny, like towards the end, like super skinny. But he's a kind of a skinny, tall, skinny guy anyway. But yeah, like I just think, I don't know, I have everything in the diet. McDonald's, blueberries.
Well balanced then.
Yeah, well balanced.
So do you as you're running along, do you sort of time your eats? You think, right, now's time to get in another bar or a snack, or do you literally just do it on, right, now I'm feeling hungry, or I feel good, I don't need to eat anything at the moment? How do you judge it? Just on how you feel?
Yeah, you're right, man. Like, actually, I've had both those feelings. Like, I feel like I need to eat, so I eat. You know, if my alarm was going off, like in 100 milers, I set my alarm to go off every 30 minutes and I have a gel, you know? Yeah. And that's it. I can be like a robot, a 100-mile running robot, gel eating robot. You know, no problem. I can do that for 100 miles. Come to 2,000 miles, you start to enter different, like, realms of reality. And, you know, science and 30-minute timing intervals kind of get thrown out the window. And you go a lot more on feel. Yeah. But what you've got to be careful of is if you start feeling like you don't need to eat, that's a problem, you know, because that's actually not the case. You need to eat. Like, there's no way you can do this. So yeah, mostly I go by feel when I want to eat. But when I don't feel like I want to eat, I just check in with myself, because, you know, you do let a couple of hours go by, you don't feel like you want to drink, and you get to a pretty, I mean, you're burning so many calories. Yes. I mean, runners claim so many different things, but I calculate it to be about 8,000 calories a day, I think. Wow. It's like 4 days worth of, like, for a normal person. So yeah, some people claim like 12,000, but I kind of reckon it's more around 8,000 personally.
You must get through a lot of toilet paper.
So actually, yeah, I definitely do. But I use, you know, the wet wipes. You know, that's the other. You know, it's like people don't ask that question, but think about how sore your butt can get when you're wiping it. Like, I don't know, let's say it's 4 or 5 wipe per visit to the toilet. Yeah. Let's say you visit the toilet 10 times. That's 50 times you're wiping your butt. Like, you can end up with chafed skin. So like my butt hygiene routine is like, you've got to nail it down. I have these baby wipe, chemical-free wet wipes, and then like I might use a little bit of like a lubricant in the mornings or afterwards, just like I might drink some coconut oil, make sure things pass through, because if things get dry, you're in trouble. Yeah, like I remember on the Southwest Coast Path, I didn't get that right. And have you seen those baboons? Have you seen that? Like I was running like 100 kilometers a day, and eventually I started to feel like this baboon, this swelling on my anus. It was nasty. I mean, it's part of it that you've got to, you know, like it's just part of the game of endurance. Yeah.
Speaking of all the swellings and that, how do you deal with all the other sort of chafing, sort of inner thighs, nipples? How do you sort of, are you just completely accustomed to that now?
My nipples have never really, I think once or twice in my 25 years of running, like once or twice, 23 years, I've had nipple chafing like once or twice. Usually, I don't know where that comes from, but I think it's usually if the t-shirt's wet, it can cause a problem. So I've never had a problem with that. I think your main concern is when you get wet, your body does start to chafe. So I've got like more of a bicycle style short, which is a tighter fitting short I wear from a company called Exoskin. That means there's no movement. Like if you're just wearing loose material and everything gets wet, there's a lot of movement, then the chafing starts, and then you're sweating salt, and the salt gets into the chafing, and that can pull you down real hard, you know. So I try to avoid that. So I'm actually pretty good with anticipating if it's going to be wet. I wear a tighter fitting short. Also, if you wear no sleeves and you're running like sleeveless, I get like chafing under my armpit where the skin of my arm touches the skin of my body, like this. That's not nice, so I tend to wear t-shirts. But I think the biggest thing you really got to look after is your feet, because like what am I, 66 kg, and that's 66 kg plus the impact of every foot strike. And then when you go downhill, that's I think times by 6 or something, or is it 4? Anyway, there's a lot of impact. The feet really take everything, and your feet are your babies. You've got to care for them. You've got to look after them. And I'm happy to say, after 2,000 miles last year, my feet had no blisters, no excessive hard skin, and they were pretty amazing.
That's actually incredible that you weren't sort of really getting blisters. You must have it sort of all really dialed in. In terms of then the running shoe, do you like to be able to feel more the surface you're running on, or do you appreciate that extra padding on the trainer?
Yeah, man. Like, I tell you what, right? So the Appalachian Trail is it's one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world, and it's made up of pretty much rocks. So you're kind of rock hopping most of the time, and down in states like Pennsylvania, there's rumors that they sharpen the rocks with files, like to get on the hikers' nerves. There's this whole hiking community. Not a lot of people do what I do, run it. So yeah, man, eventually you get to the point when you want padding, You want the cushioning because your feet become bruised.
And you were mentioning about the pain. So how do you find taking CBD oil at night? So you get in, your body's exhausted, your feet are aching, and you take the CBD oil. Do you want to just sort of talk us through that? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I guess it's like part of my routine. So come in, get my feet, as my feet are being washed, or sometimes like gun section washes my feet, or I wash them, eat my food, climb up into the roof tent, up the ladder. Like I say, take my watches off, plug them in. And then the last thing I do is lights out, is like get the CBD oil button tender, drop like 0.25, like there's a little reading, it goes like 0.25 and then so drop that under my tongue. And I guess it's a little bit like coffee because there's a distinctive taste in your throat, you know what I mean? And I think when you ask a child to taste coffee, they're like, that's disgusting. And then when you get older, you're like, I love coffee. So I've kind of grown to like that distinctive taste. And then, I just go to sleep. And I guess I just feel, don't forget, I've just run for 16 hours. Yeah. So naturally I'm exhausted. But I've also taken it when I'm not running 16 hours, and I've experimented in the daytime as well. So like, what does this feel like? And I guess it's just a feeling of relaxation, but not THC. When I was younger, I used to smoke weed and stuff as a teenager. And there's no kind of THC trippy kind of thing. There is just a feeling of calmness, I guess.
Yeah.
Like anxiety, calmness, relaxation, well-being, and I guess they're the feelings that I would describe. But obviously, like on the Appalachian Trail, like I say, I'm asleep in a blink of a second. So and then I guess when I wake up, there's a feeling of just that was a deep dark black sleep.
Needed to recover. How did you dial in your sort of dosing? So you tried taking CBD oil in the daytime. I believe you may have tried to take it before running. What brought you to the conclusion, like, actually, no, after the run, that's the best time for me to take it? How was it when you took it before? How was it when you took it sort of during?
Yeah, I guess like it just seems a nice. So when you're on the trail, like, I think it's good to have a bit of a routine. I said before, you don't want to be doing 30-minute interval routines because that's crazy. But you do need a 24-hour cycle routine, wake up, have your oatmeal, whatever. I drank coffee on the trail last year. I kind of didn't intend to do that this year. I quit it a little time ago. yeah, like at the end of the day, it just seems like if these are feeling like low anxiety, relaxed, and everything, it seems like to be a good thing to do before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
I do believe on the trail last year, I probably had a few drops also in the day as well. Yeah, I mean, I've experimented with everything. I don't think there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just that's the routine that kind of works for me. Yeah, just on the nighttime. There's no right or wrong with it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Okay. I want to sort of dive into more the sort of mental aspect of this challenge that you're going to face. Now, I know obviously you've attempted it 3 times before. Do you want to talk me through some of the highlights along the trail? You mentioned sort of animals. I know that potentially long distance runners can have this euphoric feeling called essentially a runner's high, where we have these human cannabinoids and anandamide in plethora within the body to give this unique sort of euphoric feeling. Do you experience that during your runs at any point?
Yeah, like totally 100%. I mean, I just get out of the realm of relationships, society, work, any commitments. And like my sole objective on the trail is to move forwards through nature, through the mountains, eat food to allow me to do that. And when I get tired, sleep to give me enough energy to wake up and do it again. And you enter, so like one of my first memories, let's be specific to the Appalachian Trail. Okay, so in 2018, I was with Carol Sabe, he's the record holder. I was invited by him to come and help pace him on the trail. And I ran with him for like 1/3 of his attempt, 15 days of a 40-day record, 41-day record. And I remember running behind him, and I looked to my right, and there was like, you know, like you're running, he was doing like 15, 16 hours a day. I was doing 10, 12 hours a day. So I wasn't doing the whole day with him. And anyway, like I was running, and I looked to my right, and I saw these leaves. I mean, there's plants everywhere, you know. Yeah. And I saw this leaf. It was like a leaf, and then off that stem of the leaf was another leaf, and off each leaf there's another leaf and another leaf. And I kind of like suddenly my whole world, I just went into this leaf. Like there was nothing else I was thinking about. And I just entered this kind of, I don't know, just the only thing that became important in my life was this leaf.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other plants around me. I don't know really how long it lasted. I didn't like have a stopwatch or anything. Just all that mattered at that moment. Like I mean, I don't know if I became the leaf.
You were at one with nature. At one with nature.
I don't know if I just let go of my physical presence and just let go of like who I was and just observe the leaf and just recognize it for what it really was, which was the probably most powerful thing I've ever seen. A leaf.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so that was my first kind of experience, you know, and then I was like, oh, dude, that was pretty cool. And then I'm thinking, like, wow. And then obviously, like another cool memory was last year on the trail, the guys told me, hey, Kristian, when you get in, you're only going to have 4 hours sleep or 3 hours, 50 minutes sleep, because we need to, you know, we need to get you to do a bigger section today, or, you know, like, so I thought, oh, this kind of sucks. So I'm going to try the thing, and I'm going to, if I didn't hear from anyone else, I'm going to try the last hour of my run of this day. I'm going to try and run and breathe. You know how you breathe heavily, and sometimes you wake yourself up with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was doing this throat, almost like chakra breathing they do in yoga, like, so you can hear your breathing, and it takes your thoughts away from other stuff. And I was breathing for the last hour of my run. I was doing what I was calling sleep run breathing. So when I got in, I was already semi-asleep. So the, you know, I know this sounds a bit crazy, but it really happened. You know, I did it. And I got to see after an hour of deep breathing and just like, you know, when you're in bed and you're thinking about the day and what went on, and then you get to the point where you're not controlling your thoughts anymore, and you go into semi-dream state, and you remember the thought, but you kind of don't remember it and you don't control it. And it may be, I don't know, a giraffe walking on the ceiling or something. You know, it's just something, it's not reality, but it's, you know, it's subconscious, you know?
Yeah.
So I was allowing my thoughts to go to a place while I was running. I wasn't controlling them. Well, obviously, as you're on the verge of going to sleep, you kind of, So I was on the very edge, on the very threshold of thoughts of reality and where I was, and into the subconscious sleep world. And I was towing the line for an hour. And when I got in, I said to the guys, I don't feel I need to eat. I've just done this sleep running. I'm actually ready to, I can just lie down now on the chair and shut my eyes. So I ate because I had to eat, and I went to bed that day. I had 4 hours sleep. I woke up and I felt like I just had an 8-hour sleep. Like, it's crazy. I mean, I've never heard of anyone doing that, you know, like, it was crazy, man. Like, it was crazy, I gotta say. I'm a crazy guy.
Are you going to employ that tactic this time around?
I mean, yeah, I think it makes sense, doesn't it? If I know I'm going to have less than 6 hours sleep one night, it kind of makes sense. But it also takes a high level of focus and dedication.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to do that for an hour? Your mind's going to be like dragged this way, dragged that way. It was almost like mentally doing yoga breathing and yoga practice while you're running down the trail, but without actually doing the yoga to be, you know, when you're in a yoga position, sometimes you have to breathe because it hurts so much, or you're on the cusp of pain. So I guess it's different with running, but yeah, I'll just try and maybe get in a bit earlier so I don't have to do that. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like you said, you go with the flow and you go with your gut feeling.
Yeah.
Just a bit of a horrible question, but how do you get through some of those sort of dark times, you know, where it all seems to be coming in on you, and the mental grind is taking its toll? What really helps lift you out of that?
I guess time. I mean, there's no tools, you know. I mean, it's like life, you know, like something goes wrong with a relationship, or, you know, time passes and you just, I think having a belief and the knowledge and the foresight, I like to think of it as, there's this guy who just broke the Trans-Canadian record last year when I came second fastest on the AT. He was running, I think it's, I forget, 4,000 miles or 6,000 kilometers or something. And it's all road, but not through the mountains, you know, the whole country of Canada. And he said, when he was running, he imagined he had 4, almost like spirit animals.
Yeah.
As a salamander telling lies to him. You can't do this. You're not worthy. You're not, you know, you're weak. You're not a good person. You know, you can't do this. Then there was this coyote biting his heels. And that was the spirit animal that creates the pain. You know, like his body's hurting, the coyote's biting. But the whole time the coyote is biting him, he's got one eye up on this dragon in the sky, this other spirit animal. But the dragon is flying, and the dragon is the all-powerful. This runner said that he was the dragon, but he hadn't realized it yet. And then the third animal, the fourth animal is the dragon, but the third animal is the eagle that has the foresight to see beyond the mountains ahead. So when you ask like what, and I embraced I like that, you know, because the coyote's there biting you and it's hurting you, but it's got one eye on the dragon because it's scared of the dragon. You really are the dragon. You just haven't realized that yet. The eagle has the foresight to see beyond the mountain that you can't see and relays the messages back to you. So you have to embrace the pain, the negative also, but you have to have the foresight that beyond this pain and negativity is actually a blue sky and then a beautiful horizon, and maybe something else beyond than your current state. And then obviously the dragon is the realization that you're the all-powerful and can do anything that you never dreamed about. And this guy set the record. It was a 20-something-year-old record, and that impacted me. You know, I hope to take on board this belief, like in this kind of Native American style spirit animals. And yeah, I hope that can help me. My personal way of getting through pain is just knowing, I mean, there's no way. You just go with it. Like there is no way. When you're in pain and you're in a dark place, there's kind of no way out. That's part of it.
You just have to keep going. There's no other way.
You have to have this thing called, so I guess I call it blind faith. You know, like all my ultras, you know, my 100, you told the guys before we started, over 120, it's probably over 150 ultras. And I mean, if you include the AT, it's like 200, you know, now, like distances of like 50 miles and above. I've had to have blind faith a lot of times in those where you don't believe you can finish. You don't, you know, it's like impossible. But what takes people to the beyond their limits is blind faith. And if you have this kind of blind, and what I mean by blind faith is that you don't know if you can make it, but you're just going to keep on going anyway. It's like, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to carry on going. And then when you do it, then you build up this belief, wow, I did it before, I can do it again. So I've got all this belief behind me. I'm sitting on this pyramid of like this actual proof that when you get to a dark time and pain, I've pushed through it, persevered. But when you get to it, you're always setting yourself a bigger challenge. Like, yes, last year I'm the second fastest on the A2 currently or whatever, but I want to become the fastest. So at some point, I'm going to have to push myself harder than I've ever pushed myself before. And also push myself harder than any other human. Carol Sabe has pushed himself before to get to this space and hold this space that, like, someone said to me, that's a little quick story.
Yeah.
He heard describe the Appalachian Trail as jail. You know, I'm in jail and I can't get out, and my term is finished when I step off the other end at 2,000 miles. And he said he kind of found that negative. This is PJ, my third crew member who's 74, the crazy meteorologist guy. You know, he wears like an orange jump. You know, in death row where they wear those orange jumpsuits. Yeah. He's got like waist long grey hair and a big goatee. 74-year-old, 6'4" tall. He just looks like an inmate from death row. I'm still not sure if he's just escaped from there, and I don't know if I trust this guy yet, man. But we'll see. So anyway, he said, I don't know about this kind of jail metaphor with the Appalachian Trail. It seems a bit negative to me. Why don't you look at it as a space that Carol Sabe holds and you're entering, and that only you and Carol Sabe currently have entered out of anyone else on this planet Earth. You're entering a space of pain and privilege that no one else gets to share in this life. So why would you look at it as a negative thing? Wouldn't you look at it as a space of privilege? So that's how I'm going to approach this year. So yeah, there'll be pain. Yeah, there'll be dark times, but there's a price to pay for everything in life. And the price to pay is, for me, like to get that record, that AT to like accomplish something that I've been working towards, I feel all my life now. Yeah, that's the price you got to pay. Am I willing to pay the price? We're going to see.
Well, it wouldn't be an adventure with the ups and downs. So just on the timings, I believe that Carol Sabers is 41 days, 7 hours, 39 minutes. Your last attempt was 44 days, 4 hours and 54 minutes. So you've got around a sort of 3-day sort of gap there. When you're running, are you looking at times and are you mentally sort of assessing where you are in comparison to that? Or do you just let all of that go and just go with the flow, and if it's going to happen, it's going to happen? How do you approach that?
No, totally 100%. So I know, like last year, it's good to know where I went wrong. So up to day 31, I was 10 miles ahead of him. I actually had a 27-mile lead. So up to day 31, so yeah, he was finished ahead of me like these couple of days, but up to like 75% of this, a whole month, I'm running more further than Carol. And up to day 32, I woke up that morning, I was 10 miles ahead.
Yeah.
And my lead was 27 miles, and it'd been like slightly catching up, you know? And it broke me mentally. I had a mental breakdown. On the day of 32, I ran a couple of, I don't know, I think it was like in the afternoon. I saw the crew car, saw Iceman, took my shoes off, and then jumped in the crew car. And I said, I'm done. I give up. Like, I quit. You know, like, I think what it was, I didn't want Carol to physically catch up with me and pass me. He wasn't physically there. I mean, his times.
Yes.
And mentally, I thought about how strong he was, how he's one of the best athletes in the world, all his accomplishments. You know, I thought about how that salamander was kicking my butt. You know, the salamander that lies to you. The spirit animal took over. The eagle disappeared. The dragon was nowhere in sight. In fact, the dragon was not in my imagination anymore. I didn't believe the dragon existed. And all that was left was the coyote, like, bit the shit out of me, and the salamander lied. And I believed those guys. And that's what happened on day 32. So what happened was then, up to that point, I was looking at, like, today, 2 miles ahead of day 1, 2 miles ahead of Carol. Day 4, 6 miles ahead of Carol. Day 10, 12 miles ahead of Carol. Have a quad injury day 14, I've lost my 12-mile lead. I'm head to head with Cal. So I was watching the miles all the way along, not by feel at all. Day 32, I just switched off. I was like, okay, I just want to finish. I mean, I didn't even want to finish the trail. I was like, okay, I'll finish the trail. Speed go calm, I'll stop phone me up. And he was like, Kristian, you're 4 days ahead of Scott Jurek and all the other guys and me, 4 days ahead of the competition. Don't give up now. If you carry on now, you're going to thank yourself for the rest of your life. And no one will break your record, man. It's insane, second fastest.
Yeah.
It's insane. What Carol did is insane. And what you're doing is insane. So it gave me the motivation and I carried on pushing and I got to the finish, but I'd definitely, so give you an idea, I was doing up to day 32, I was doing walking pee breaks, right? You want to do a walking pee break.
Yeah.
There's special about it. You just stop running, you do a walking pee break. After day 32, I was like, nah, man, I'm not doing walking pee breaks. So you could see I'd lost my edge and I stood and did standing pee breaks. So I still got the second fastest time, but yeah, I'd let go of where I was with the time. It didn't really matter because in my heart was to get that record, and it still is. So that's why I'm not going. Second is great, but it's not great. Second is it's not great for me. What's great is to get that record. That's great.
So are you're not going to monitor as much this time?
Yeah, I'm still going to be watching times, but it's harder to judge when you're racing a time where someone went north. You can't look at your day one, because his last day, or his last 33 hours, he did 100 miles. He didn't sleep that night in one push.
Yeah.
A lot of record holders on the AT on their last night just do one push throughout the night. Carl Nelson did it, and I intend to do it. And so it's hard. So from day one, I'm going to be 50 miles behind record pace. Yeah,
we're already looking forward to interviewing at the end of this one. We want to hear all about the journey. We'll be following you as you go.
Cool.
You will be posting, I believe, on Instagram regularly for everyone out there that wants to follow along.
If people follow, go and check out my website, and then on there's links to my Instagram where I'll have reels and stories and posts.
And I also believe that you do running coaching. So can people, if they want to learn how to essentially learn to run from the best, they can contact you through the website to book some running training?
Yesterday, I had a professional ballerina phone me up. She's like, I used to be this pro ballerina, then a 10 pro triathlete. Now I want to be a pro mountain ultra runner, and I found you. So yeah, I coach runners to crazy life goals, so just achieving their dreams and stuff. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Are there any extra sort of thoughts to do with the trail that you wanted to share?
So
anything anything on your mind? Go for it.
What do you think? How do you think I'm going to do this year, man? We've had a good couple of chats. Have you seen any changes in my mental attitude? We've known each other for a couple of years now.
Kristian, you are in the zone. You're very relaxed, which is really important. But let's be honest, Kristian, you know the trail. You know what it's going to take. You're in the perfect position. You've got a great team around you. You've got loads of support. Just got to stay, like you said, stay relaxed. Enjoy every moment. This is one big adventure. Run it with a smile, like you said, man.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I really do. It means a lot to me. It does. So it was great to be interviewed. Pleased to be represented by the intended. You guys have supported me a long way, and please be part of the team. Thanks for all the questions and all the time, and my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kristian. I'll catch up with you personally at a later date.